But so today I'm going to be talking about transition awareness, Buddha awareness, and stability. And one of the reasons in particular that I want to talk about transition is because I'm going through one. And so what better time to actually look at what that means? Yesterday, Shinchu and I went up to Berkeley for the commencement ceremony at the graduate school where I've been teaching for the last 15 plus years. And also it marked an end of my time as an active core member of the faculty there. This is a transition that is both very welcome, it's time, and there's also a sense of loss. I think this is often true in transitions, don't you think? My colleagues are also my friends, and my students have taught me a great deal, and it has been just a deep pleasure and an honor to be a part of their lives as they've grown into Dharma leaders, priests, ministers, chaplains. And I was thinking about, you know, they all came into this period of study with aspirations and inspirations to serve in the world. And part of the process of growth and investigation and deep investigation that was is a part of the Institute. It also includes, it includes Buddhists from most every tradition in the United States, and also from Taiwan and China and Japan. And also students from the greater Graduate Theological Union community. So people from Christian traditions and Jewish, Muslim, everybody kind of comes together into this pot to study the Dharma together. So rich, so very rich. And then watching them go off and serve 3 years in the UCSF ICU at the bedside of sick people during the pandemic, serving and leading an organization that serves those who are living on the streets of San Francisco, especially at night, serving them at night. Being ministers and priests in sanghas in North America and Hawaii, working in hospices, teaching, scholarship. To feel to feel the gift of being a part of that, and to step out from it now is a very powerful transition. So it makes me think about our journeys as humans, to walk the Dharma road together, us here in Berkeley, and also the people that now I still am friends with, my students who are in Hawaii and in Europe, and to feel that growth and service, deep service, just taught me a great deal and humbled me to be inspired by these terrific people. So times like that give us an opportunity to recall what is most important. what is what is central in our lives, right? Clarifies, it's clarifying for me what's important to me in my life in the Dharma. How do I want to continue my service? And what guides me? How? So to do this kind of reflection requires awareness, right? I've talked about awareness before, but I think it's helpful to remember this practice of attending is central to us. The practice of presence. It's pretty simple, really. It sounds pretty simple. Just pay attention, right? I've told the story before about when I went to Eiheiji and did all these ceremonies. Shincho and I have both done this. Eiheiji is this major monastery, one of the two major monasteries in Japan. And I was tired and I had put my shoes away the 2 days or 3 days before we entered. And I came out and I couldn't find them. And everybody was waiting for me, a group, And one of the priests, the Japanese call me Doyo, because that's my other Dharma name. Anyway, one of the priests there said, Doyo-san, pay attention. So in my mind, as always, we joke, I can't find my keys or something. Doyo-san, pay attention. But that's the gist of it, right? Pay attention. And it sounds pretty simple, but it is pretty simple, but it's also difficult and challenging and complicated because it engages and encompasses all of who we are, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, our relationships, everything. So in Sanskrit, there's this word smrti, and the root of it is smara, which means remembrance, reminiscence, thinking of or upon, calling to mind, or simply memory. So this word is found in the ancient Vedic literature. So it predates Buddhism, right? It's a simple human thing to recall, to remember. Another translation is recollection, coming back together. In Pali, the other ancient root language of Buddhism, the language that is akin to or is the language that the Buddha taught in this smrti is sati. So you may have seen this word sati. The practice of awareness is smrti, sati, recollection, enriches our lives enormously, right? We see the depth and the beauty of the world. We notice what's happening to ourselves. We notice the things of our lives, the aspects of our own mind, what's happening with our bodies, what's happening with the birds outside, just what's happening. And so when we open ourselves in that way, our lives are much broader and richer, right? Especially during times of transition, we become more aware of the gifts of life and the hard things, the challenges and the beauty. We become, as we pay attention, increasingly aware of relationship, the context and the basis of our lives, the context of everything. We see the living connection and come to know that it is fundamental, that is our reality, community in its widest sense, the support and connection we experience when we broaden our view, when we understand that we are interwoven with everything. When we attend in this way, we place our awareness in a broad field. And when we do that, when we understand our lives in this broad field, it transforms our experience and our actions. So the personal, ethical, relational aspect of our lives deepens. It grows with a spirit of care and wisdom. So we see more clearly and we experience our connectedness more deeply. So when we do this, we can ask, what is the context in which we live? And if we're in transition, what is the nature of this transition? What's central to it? How are we in relation? We can say, we can pay attention to what is the quality of our awareness and its impact on our minds. Is it kindness? Is that quality kind? Is it aggressive? Is it judgmental, comparative? Is it greedy? What is the quality of our awareness? With what mind do we pay attention? What is our intention? What impact does that have in our lives? Are the results of our awareness wider, broader, more inclusive? Are they helpful or not? Not just to us, but to others. Basically, we explore deeply who we are and how we function with others. Pretty simple. During times of transition, this can be deeply stabilizing because we get to the root of what's important to us. And then that quality, that value, that intention can move and change. It's not limited to one circumstance. To practice Zen Buddhism is to be guided by an intention for our lives to benefit ourselves and others. To wake up so that we and all beings can experience peace and freedom. In other words, in our language, to realize the Buddha way. If we bring awareness to our lives, we can choose to gently and thoroughly cultivate the clarity and devotion that's at the center of that life. This is what we call bodhicitta. Bodhi means awakening, and citta is mind or consciousness. So bodhicitta is the mind of awakening. That can sound so abstract, but it's not. It's just this simple way of paying attention in your life and having a view that says, how is this helpful to myself and others? You know, what is this? It's a very deep question. Who am I? Who are others? What's important here? This is the basis of our practice. It is the impulse that drew us to practice in the first place. It is very deepness, central, perhaps the most central thing about who we are. It is the wisdom that calls us, draws us into lives with others that reflect and express the true nature of what's going on, of who we are. It is the first impulse to practice, and it is full to the brim with wisdom, compassion, and connection. So we cultivate the ability to be guided by these qualities in our lives, but they're not something that we're adding on to who we are. So in our practice of recalling our intentions, reminding ourselves of what we're up to in our lives, paying attention and returning, we become familiar with this. Who's the we that becomes familiar with this, which is who we are? But anyway, that's another question. This is a crucial dimension of our awareness. We're not moving toward anything. We're being recalled to what is already present. So our practice is all about remembering. This is very concrete, very in the moment, very much about who we are happening in our ordinary lives. Another way of talking about this is Buddha na Smrti. Again, Smrti, Buddha, or in Pali, Buddha Sati. Recollection of the Buddha. This is the first of the Anusmrtis, in Pali, Anusata. The others are awareness of Dharma, Sangha, virtue, and generosity. Dharma, so it's Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, virtue, meaning goodness, and generosity. These recollecting ourselves to these qualities, these truths in our ordinary lives changes who we are and how we live. So this is an ancient practice, and it's evolved over time, starting with the recollection of the life and attributes of the Buddha. So just thinking about Shakyamuni Buddha and attributes. It led to the practice of visualizations. So visualizing the Buddha, really elaborate Baroque. I mean, the Mahayana can be so Baroque. It's truly amazing. Just like humans, we like to add things on, right? Oh, the simplicity is not good enough. Let's add this and this and this and this. We don't need just shelter simplicity. We need curlicues and multiple events and just all kinds of, we tend to do that. It's just like when you go to Eheji, there's Dogen's ashes are there. And when you go through the ceremony that Shinshu and I did called Zuise, you pay homage to Dogen, right? And you have to walk up these really narrow stairs sideways. And of course, you're terrified you're going to fall down in front of everybody. But anyway, and it's really high up there. And I thought, well, let's see. Dogen was born in 1200. And so we've had like, say, 750 years to develop ways to pay homage to Dogen. And I wonder if it started on the ground floor and then it's just gotten higher and higher. And what's going to happen in another couple hundred years are going to have to add stories onto Eheji so that you have to climb up like another 50 feet. How many hundred years does it go up? We do this out of a sense of reverence and I don't know, I don't know what. So it can get pretty Baroque, but it can also, we can just return to it being pretty damn simple. Anyway, another evolution of this is reciting the names of the Buddha. And in Pure Land Buddhism, the name of Amida Buddha, which is, Amida Buddha is not Shakyamuni Buddha, another Buddha. But that's another story. When we think about recalling Buddha again, we're not talking about an entity that exists apart from us. It's not apart from us. Dogen in particular is very clear about this. When we recall or return to Buddha, we return to what is already present, or return to the world and who we are. And we can rely on that. We can really deeply rely on that. Kosho Uchamaroshi understood the standard chanting of the Pure Land Buddhist practice, we could say practice, anyway, which is Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. He understood this, Uchamaroshi understood this as saying, I practice Butsu, Buddha, returning Namu. Namu is like returning and also in praise of the totality of heaven and earth, Amida. So he said, I practice Butsu, returning Namu to the totality of heaven and earth, Amida. Now, I am quite sure that most Pure Land Buddhists would disagree with this. but that's okay. As long as we respectfully do this, we can say it. We can say, this is what it means to us. This is the essence of interfaith dialogue. This is something that, I have had the deep pleasure of witnessing over and over and over again in my academic life, in this seminary, where people of different faiths come together and say, this is my way. You don't have to sign on to my way. I'm not telling you it's the right way, but I'm saying my faith is in following the path that is outlined for me in my faith. My faith is following the path that's outlined for me in my faith. And this is what it is. I believe in Jesus Christ as the risen Lord. Okay. I believe that my life according to the teachings of the Torah is the way. Okay. I believe that I know through the evidence of my life that these things are true, that these things guide me. To get together a group of people, some of whom believe there's a creator God and some of whom don't, to get together a group of Buddhists for some of whom there is no meditation practice. That is not what is done. And others that say, how can you have Buddhism without meditation? You get that group of people together, and boy, is it dynamic and fun. If you have this attitude, this is my way, this is my faith, and I'm going to contribute it to the dialogue, and I'm going to listen to you, and you do not have to agree with me, because it's following the path that's key. Is it wholesome? Yeah. So anyway, this is Uchal Moroshi's understanding. And he wrote a poem that expresses this torn up piece of paper, expresses this way of recalling ourselves to this world in the richest and most supportive way. So this is what he wrote. I eat food from the whole heaven and earth. I drink water from the whole heaven and earth. I live the life of the whole heaven and earth, pulled by the gravity of the whole heaven and earth. I become pure and clear, one with the whole heaven and earth. The whole heaven and earth is where I return. You want to hear that again? Yeah. Okay. I eat food from the whole heaven and earth. I drink water from the whole heaven and earth. I live the life of the whole heaven and earth. Pulled by the gravity of the whole heaven and earth, I become pure and clear, one with the whole heaven and earth. The whole heaven and earth is where I return. This is a guide for us, right? This very wise man is telling us something important. In particular, in times of transition, I think, or times when we're distressed, or when we feel lost, or at sea, or fearful, when our confidence in the way is weak, we'll remember the Buddha. We'll remember that we are of the nature of awakening, that we are the whole heaven and earth, and that's where we return. In that moment, we know ourselves to be supported and sustained, right? This is clarifying. This tells us who we are and how we want to evolve in new visions, new ways, new paths, because the path is just taking another turn. It gives us confidence in our practice. To practice remembering that you are not different from the capacity to fully realize the Buddha way. Got that? To practice remembering that you are not different from the capacity to fully realize the Buddha way, that it was there from the beginning. teaches us something about who we are and what we're capable of. Even if you don't believe it, even if you look at yourself and you go, really? This one? Some confidence becomes apparent. And this is available anytime, totally portable, just like all of Soto's Zen practice is totally portable. You don't have to wear special clothes or be anywhere in particular, have a posture of any particular. It's just like wherever you are, this is available to you. If we recall ourselves to this, we can be nourished and inspired by it. We can move through transitions with confidence and curiosity. Dogen Zenji called this mind Daishin, great, vast mind and heart. This is a quality of consciousness that's vast and great, inclusive. It's a steady source of warmth and glow, not flickering, but steady. Shouldn't you talk last week about being like I think it was last week, about being like a mountain? Settled. This is the settled mind. So settled, it can include everything. It's not separate from the clouds that come and go, this mountain mind, this mountainous, storms, the creatures that come, all included. In fact, mountain is made by this. There's no separation. So when we practice returning, recalling, recollecting ourselves, remembering ourselves to the reality of Buddha, we become, or we remember our mountainness. And we have also at the same time this flexibility to engage and change and have confidence. So as we go about our days, as we encounter transition and challenge, not just encounter, but as we know ourselves to be transitioning, challenged, I just want to encourage us all to practice this awareness, this recollection of Buddha, and remember the Chamroshi's words. Thank you very much.